Hi, in this one we're going to be diving deeper into the concept of conditional operators, and we're going to be building some conditions of our own according to some tasks that I've built for this exercise that you can already see on your screen. Now these tasks are already in PyCharm, so just fire up PyCharm and code along with me so that you can just learn as you listen and watch this lesson. Now, as you see on the screen, we already have this file that has a bunch of conditional operators written up here. But if you don't want to create a new project yourself, you can always download this exact project from your course resources, so it's easier for you to follow along and you have all of this code documented right there and you don't really need to type it out. Anyways, let's just get back into it. So let's take a look at the 9 conditional operators that we have, or the 9 most often used conditional operators that we have here. The first one is the double equals operator, which basically checks whether the left hand side is actually equal to the right hand side. And if it is equal, it returns a true value. Then we've got the less than value, which checks whether the left hand side is less than the right hand side, and if it is, it returns a true value. The next one is the greater than symbol, which basically checks if the left hand side is greater than the right hand side, or the value of the left hand side is greater than the right hand side, and if it is, it returns a true value, or else it returns a false value. The next one is something you've not seen before, which is the greater than or equal to sign, which checks if the left hand side, or the expression on the left hand side, is greater than or equal to the expression on the right hand side. So let's say if I write something like 7 is greater than or equal to 6. This condition is going to be true because 7 is greater than 6, but it is not equal to 6, right? And that's why it's greater than or equal to. So that's why the condition returns a true answer or a true result, because 7 is greater than 6, but it's not equal to 6. But if we would have written something like 6 is greater than or equal to 6, in this case, 6 is not greater than 6, so that is false, but 6 is equal to 6, that is true, and that's why the condition would again return a true answer. Otherwise, it would just return a false answer. So for example, if we write 5 is greater than or equal to 6, that condition is false because neither is 5 greater than 6, nor is 5 equal to 6. Similarly, the next one is the less than or equal to symbol, which checks if the left hand side is less than or equal to the right hand side. And if either of those conditions are true, then it returns a true value. If both of those conditions are false, it obviously returns a false value. Then we go on to the not equal to operator. This basically checks if the left hand side is not equal to the right hand side. So in this case, the exclamation mark or the exclamation point basically signifies the not operator. So the not equal to operator checks if, for example, we have 5 not equal to 6. That condition would be true because 5 is not equal to 6. At the same time, if we write something like 6 is not equal to 6, that condition would be false because 6 really is equal to 6. Next, we move on to the AND operator. So as we saw in the previous one, the AND operator compares the left hand side and the right hand side, and in this case it is essential for both the left hand side condition to be true and the right hand side condition to be true. The OR operator, on the other hand, checks if either of them are true or both of them are true. So if either of them are true in the OR operator, it's just going to return a true value. If both of them are false, only then does it return a false value. While in the AND operator, even if one of them is false, it returns a false value. If both of them are true, it returns a true value. Finally, with the NOT operator, the NOT operator negates any kind of a condition. So if there's a condition and it's preceded by the NOT operator, the result of that condition may be true or false. So let's say the result of the condition is true, then the NOT operator basically just flips the true to a false result, or else if the condition is false, it flips the false to a true condition. And that is about the explanation of these conditional operators. So now let's just get into it and code some of these tasks. All right, so now here what we have is 3 variables. We've got A, B, and C. A equals 10, B equals 20, and C equals 30. And just by the looks of it, A, B, and C, all of them, they store an integer value. Yeah, that's pretty simple. So let's just get on to task 1. Task 1 says build conditions to check if the three variables are equal. So we want to check if the value of A equals the value of B, and that also equals the value of C, right? So in this case, what we can do is we can just use print statements to build our conditions. So I'm just going to write print. And now inside the print statement, what we want to do is I'm just putting the space so that it looks a little cleaner, right? You don't need to put that space. That's not a part of the syntax or the part of the way that we write these conditions. So inside the print statement, we're going to be first off comparing the value of A with the value of B. So how do we do that? We write A equals B. So what is this doing? This is comparing if A's value is actually equal to B. Now in this case, is it actually equal to B? It's not. So let's just do a trial run and run this one. And it gives us a false value. Why does it give us a false value? Simply because this condition is false. Now this is one condition. We want to check if A equals B and B equals C and A equals C. Only then will we be able to tell that all the three values are not equal. So A equals B is one condition, so I'm just going to put that in one set of parentheses. Then, as I just spoke with you, right, I said if the first condition is A equals B, the next one is and B equals C. So just like we talk about it, right? So if A equals B and B equals C. So you've got false and false because B is 20, C is 30. So B and C are not really equal. So false and false is always going to be false because it is the AND operator, right? So when I click on run, it again just gives me false. And A equals C, or it could also be C equals A. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So when I click on run here, it again gives me a false because this whole expression has three conditions. And the operator we're using here is the AND operator to compare. So here A equals B is false and false and false. So all falses with ANDs is just going to return a false value. At the same time, if I would write some true conditions with the AND, so for example, I'd write something like A is less than B and B is less than C and A is less than C. Yeah. So if I had three conditions, now you can take a look at these conditions. These conditions are actually all true, right? And I've purposely made them true. So A is less than B, that's true because 10 is less than 20. B is less than C is true because 20 is less than 30. And A is less than C is true, again, because 10 is less than 30. So in this case, we've got all true conditions, and therefore we should get a true value because it's supported by the AND operator. At the same time, if I just change one of these conditions into a false condition, so I made this A equals B into a false condition, you'll see that this true becomes a false because we've got false and false, which is going to be false. So false, and then another true is going to be a false. Sorry, this is false, this is true, and this is true. So false and true is going to be false, and then this whole false and this true is finally going to give you a true value. So when I click on run, it just gives me a false right here. Pretty simple, right? So let's move on to the next one. I'm just going to comment these out and we move on to the next one. So task 2 basically demands us to build a condition to check if variable A is greater than variable B. Well, we've already done that. That's pretty simple. So print A is greater than B, and the value for this should be false, and that's what we get. At the same time, if I write something like not A is greater than B, and make sure that I have the right amount of closing and opening parentheses, so not A is greater than B. So A is greater than B is false, this condition is false, and not false, as we saw in the last one, is true. And also not basically negates a condition. So when I run this, it says true, right? Pretty simple. Let's just comment that out and move on to the next one. So task 3 says build a condition to check if variable b is greater than variable a and less than variable c. Okay, let's take that step by step. So print variable b is greater than variable a. That is our first condition, right? And less than variable c, and variable b is less than variable c. This is what we wanted. So we've got b is greater than a and b is less than c. So in this case, if we just do not run it and take a look at it mentally, just calculate it mentally, we know that b is greater than a. That's true because 20 is greater than 10. And b is less than c because 20 is less than 30. So in this case, we've got both true values with an AND operator, and therefore we should get a final true value, and that is correct. Finally, let's comment this out again and move on to task 4. So build a condition to check if variable a is less than or equal to variable c. So it's less than or equal to variable c. So let's take a look at the repository of operators that we have here. So we want variable a to be less than or equal to variable c. That's what we want to check. So we print variable a is less than or equal to variable c, and when we run it, well, we get an answer which is true. So that's pretty simple, very simple to actually understand. What we're going to be doing in the next one is we're going to be taking up a small challenge, a very small program to find the largest number out of the 3 numbers that have been entered by the user. So just by listening to this, if you can write that program down and then go on to the next one, it'll be great so that you could use your own brain, use your own flow of work to build that code out and then check what we're doing here in the course. And well, if you get the answer, that's great. So until then, just have fun and I'll see you in the next one.